What's up everybody? Today we're using our most popular epoxy kit, our white exotic marble, to create a white marble. But today's special, we're gonna level it up with a couple of our new color passion pastes, Pewter Metallic and Metallic Luxe Gold. This is gonna be sweet. So we're using our art coat epoxy because it's a white or light colored countertop. Whenever I'm doing lighter white colors, I always go with art coat. It has the most UV resistance in all of the epoxy industry, meaning it's gonna stay color fast and non-yellow for the longest time frame. For those of you who are new here, best practice when mixing, midway through, scrape the sides. I do this for a purpose. I pull undermixed epoxy off the sides, get it into our mixture, and then mix one more time. And you can see the epoxy turning milky or white. That's a little air getting incorporated into the epoxy while mixing. When we lay that down, those air bubbles work their way right up to the surface, and a quick pass with a heat gun or a torch will eliminate all the air bubbles. Now that's a good mix. That's your most important step when starting out with an epoxy project. That way it's gonna harden perfectly, cure right, and self-level like a sheet of glass. Now after mixing, just like any epoxy project, we're gonna divide this epoxy into mixing cups. These bigger cups, those are gonna be my base colors, followed by my accent colors. Our white exotic marble kit comes with a black dye, a white dye, white metallic, silver metallic, and our diamond dust. Today, like I said, we're gonna up-level this project. We're adding in a pewter metallic and a molten Luxe gold from Color Passion. Those are pastes, they're special, they're vivid. They've got ingredients in there that fight the mica powders, that fight our epoxy dyes to give you a look on your countertop that you cannot achieve any other way. We're also gonna take some time today to compare the silver pewter paste vein compared to our mica vein. They're both gonna be beautiful, but they act a little bit differently. All right, so take your mixed epoxy and we're dividing it into our mixing cups. Guys, if you're new here, this is what we do. We teach the DIYer how to save a ton of money on their home improvements using epoxy. You could create shower walls, countertops, tabletops, floors, and a ton more with Stone Coat Epoxy. So subscribe right now to not miss any of this new exciting content about to drop. And if you're an insider, you've been here forever, let us know in the comments how long you've been watching and get out your notepads because many of you have used this kit. Like I said, this is our most popular epoxy kit that we sell, but today we're leveling it up using these pastes. Many of you have seen these pastes in the industry, they've been around. We've brought in beautiful selection of color all the way from Australia, and these things are amazing. So we got my colors ratioed out. These are my base colors, full white, skim milk. So this will be pure opaque white. This will have barely any white, and we're gonna add a touch of diamond dust. And each one of these kits come with a variety of colors, and you could spin it any which way you want. This is our white exotic marble kit. I can make it a black exotic marble kit by simply making the black dye and the silver my base colors. And then I bring in the whites as the accent. Now it's black marble. When they make granite, they're cutting it out of the mountain, and slab A in the slice of bread versus slab F is gonna be completely different. So when you follow the same color ratios, no matter how you slap those out, it's gonna look like it was a slab right next to one another.
What's a fun fact about granite?
Fun fact about granite. Once you harvest that granite out of the mountain, it's not growing back. And here in America, we care about our mountains a lot more than our granite. So often you'll see the salt and pepper granite. It's the speckly white and black, often used as headstones, usually from North America. Most other granites are imported. So fun fact, if you're in the market for granite countertops, those slabs just got anywhere from 20 to 50% more expensive with a little word that starts with a T called tariff. Stone Coat Epoxy is not affected by tariffs. This is a made in the USA product, so the price will not go up no matter what color you use. So our polycolor dyes are very potent. A little bit goes a long way. And my rule of thumb on this is I start out with just a little bit of a few drops of white dye, mix it in, and then to give it the old test is I pull up my stick, lay it flat. If I don't see my stick, I know there's plenty of white dye in there. That's opaque. That's now at an 1/8 inch coating, we're good to go. Compared to, let's come in here, I'll just add a little white, right? Pull that up. I could see the brown stick. I know I need to add some more, but we're keeping this one skim milk. I want to keep it translucent because when I put translucent skim milk white over opaque white, it adds instant marbling with the same color. And to keep from going solid white, because I've done that, just a couple, 2 extra drops and now you're white, I'll dip into my tinted white resin and bring it in this way. Keeps you from over tinting your white. Now, you can see right here, when I bring this skim milk, which is a perfect skim, right in, you could see the marbling. When these get on my board, I'll be able to kind of marble those by itself. Isn't that cool? I got my whole milk, I got my skim milk. So I'm gonna add a wee bit of diamond dust. That's gonna add a little bit of sparkle and shimmer into this milky skim milk. See, barely in there. I wanna add a little bit more. So see, now that I've got this wet, you don't wanna come back in for more. And also, pro tip, don't tip this over because you're gonna get way too much in there. So grab a dry stick and give it about the same amount. Tap, tap. Our polycolor metallic powders, just like the dyes, are also very color fast, and a little goes a long way. Look at that. So diamond dust is unique because you could put it in with a dye and it still will shine through. Isn't that cool? Mix, mix, mix. So a little bit of sparkle in there. That's a cool thing on Stone Coat too, is it's so customizable. Coming from the granite world, I had many customers that struggled finding slabs that they really fell in love with. They're settling for a color. There's a specific color that they want to match in their decorations, or the special pillow in their couch that they want to match that great Auntie Sue gave them. It happens, trust me. If you can't find a mica, a dye, a paste, which it's gonna be really hard with the amount of colors we're about to bring to the industry here, you can grab a Rust-Oleum spray paint gloss, spray the tip of your stick, and drag that in as an accent vein. That can tie a custom color right into your countertop. There's our white mica. This is very pretty. So when mixing micas, guys, I like to start a little slow. So you saw I put a little powder on top. You want to wet that down. And then once you get all your powders wet, you could pick up the mixing speed. If you kind of go to town right away, you'll poof some off onto your board. It's not the end of the world, but try to avoid that. Whenever working with a paste, you want to pre-stir them before adding it into your clear resin. Sometimes, depending on the paste or the additive included, ingredients will settle. So really, this one's not that bad. A few, you'll have them settle, so you just really want to scrape the bottom, get it back into whatever special proprietary medium is in here that really does some cool effects. So nice little scoop into your accent. That should do it more than enough. Depending on the colorant, this is usually enough to tint about 1 to 2 full gallons of our art coat, countertop epoxy, whatever epoxy you want to choose. So it's really, really potent. But again, that's dependent on the color. Some colorants you need a little bit more. They're more translucent if you want to go fully opaque with it. You could see just already, I think it gives you more of a shimmer. Man, so let's compare these two. Here's our silver metallic from Polycolor, still very beautiful, very opaque. Here's our pewter paste color passion. So this is the molten gold. It's almost like probably a very fine powder that settles. See it kind of chunky down there? You don't want to just take the top. So this is one you really want to mix up well. Get those powders incorporated into the medium for the best results. All right, let's get this in. So I'll use about the same amount. It's about what I used on the silver. Let's get that in the gold. I'm really happy with our selection of colors we started out with. It was a test. We wanted to see if you guys appreciated these, which you do. So we're gonna add some more colors, but this first batch is a very classic colors that install, guys. These are colors that we thought would accent our current kits, colors that would blend well and install in your or your customer's home. What is trending right now? A lot of quartzites, a lot of softer marbles. So we brought in the colors that go right along with that same vibe. And that's still a beautiful gold. That's more like a melted bar of gold, right? Black is the one color that takes over everything so fast. You'll see when I go to add a little of that black in my white, it's gonna be this and then this. So that's why you just need a little bit. When the customer gets this, they miss that memo and they mix up just as much black, they put it down, and then they don't want that black in their project, they're gonna be short some material if you have 24 ounces of black here and you're really gonna use just a stick load. So really, follow along, pay attention to those. It's a very small amount on some of these accents. And guys, if you're doing this for yourself or a customer especially, I'm usually mixing up a little extra, especially base colorants. I know I may use that as an eraser. If I've gotten a little too busy in an area, I can bring back a base white and that completely calms everything down. But I'll have a Lazy Susan, a little 12-inch thing. You could pick it up at Home Depot for $8 or $10. Throw some felt feet on it. When you're done with your kitchen, set that right on the island. Put your liquid smooth cleaner that they love, available at stonecoatcountertops.com. I leave a couple microfiber rags. I keep a sponge that's safe on the epoxy. I go over care and cleaning and they love it. Also, pro tip, add some flowers. Mama Bear is gonna love it. And then, pro tip on top of that, put your contact information right on the back of that Lazy Susan. Thank you for your business. It meant a lot to me and my growing business and my family. We appreciate you. Here's my contact information. If you ever need any more work, give me a holler. It works. They're gonna holler back at you. All right, we're mixed up, and I've been yapping a lot. But a cool thing about Stone Coat, guys, you do want to get it out of the cups as quick as possible, but we have extended the working time of this product. So if this is your first time using epoxy, you don't have to be in a mega panic rush. You can get it mixed, get it colored. Now we're gonna get out on the board and let that magic happen. The epoxy pretty much does most of the hard work for you. Taking my whole milk, and we're just randomly putting this down. The piece I'm going for is, white, a little less than exotic marble. We're gonna make a calm base here. I'm gonna add a little bit of our black, show you how far that goes, and then I'll bring in our accent veins. This is our whole white, and this is our skim with a little bit of diamond dust. So I'm just randomly placing blobs, and then we're gonna take our gloved hands, or you could take a trowel or whatever you really want at that point to spread this material down. This is just our base coat. Remember my whole milk, here's my skim milk with a little diamond dust. That's why I keep some of the color, because that alone, when you meld that on the piece, it can get pretty just with those two colors alone. It gives it depth. It gives it a little sparkle with that diamond dust. But the whole milk marbling in the clear milk, it's just fantastic. I'll start by bringing in the epoxy, trying to meld as little as possible, right? I'm just bringing epoxy to the dry areas, walking it over, as this product's gonna continue self-leveling for the next couple hours. But if you have dry spots, surface tension, it can slow that movement down. So what I wanna do initially is ensure that my whole board is wet with epoxy before I over meld everything. So I'm just walking that resin into the dry parts of my project. And from time to time, I'll come to the corner of my project and kind of scrape my hand off. That's a pro tip of getting the extra resin right off your hand. And I'm also kind of keeping it off these edges until the very end, because once you give the resin an area to escape off, it's gonna start going there. It's not the end of the world, but as you can see, it's kind of not running. But if I were to come and make this all wet and then come wet my edge, which is what I'll do here, as soon as the surface is coated, it's gonna start flowing. So today's project is using Art Coat over a piece of MDF. MDF is a sheet good that we love to use when creating new countertops. It's nice and flat, affordable, and lays nice and flat and makes a great edge for epoxy countertops. So it's our preferred substrate. But Stone Coat epoxy can also go over existing surfaces like granite, laminate, solid surface, sculptured marble. You saw I just yapped away and slowly used just the fingertips. I'm not using my fingertips like this. I'll see sometimes some hands-on training students do this. It's not the end of the world, but it's gonna take you forever. I'm using these digits and kind of skipping around, knowing this product is gonna come back and self-level, fill in the dry spots. Now that we're coated on the surface, we got to hit these edges, and I do this first thing. As soon as my base colors are down, I've got no dry spots. I got one over here, but just come here like this, touch it, we're good. If you leave this like this and we keep adding our accents, the epoxy is going to want to keep flowing where it's gone. These dry spots could stay. So early on, come in here and rub your edge wet with resin. And now all the epoxy that's flowing will be uniformly flowing, kind of more like this, in a big curtain, rather than just runs everywhere. Your trouble areas are kind of here. Your rolled outside corners can be a thin area, so make sure you have plenty of resin there. So what happens if you come back? You forgot to do that. You got a couple little ridges and high points. There's a few steps you can go from here. You could grab some speed cure. You could do a little touch up, sand down the high point, touch up a little, tint that epoxy the same color, let it dry, only a 4-hour dry, and you can sand and proceed to that top coat right away. I've done this as well. I've done my clear coat, and then I've touched up the clear coat with some spray paint on a brush. Gone in there, feather touched up, just a couple little horseshoe spots that didn't have the depth that the epoxy showed, but I put my clear coat on that. So I had some epoxy at the same level, touched it up, let it dry, and then I UTC'd over that whole thing to protect that paint, fixed it. And when sanding for the next step, here's your trouble area. This rolled part, and the vertical is going to be thinner than the surface of epoxy. It's a liquid product. As it hits vertical, it's Gravity brings it down. It's gonna be a little thinner. So when sanding the surface, and edges especially, do it gingerly, nice and easy. Okay guys, we just have our white dye and our skim white dye down, and it's looking pretty cool. I'm gonna now bring in our first metallic color. This is our white metallic from Polycolor. Just gonna do little pockets, meld that in with my gloved hand, see where that takes us. This is just another one of the additives in the white exotic marble kit. And you could use as little or as much of this white metallic as you wish. This is where I'm gonna start at. So we talked about how much you pretty much can save as a DIYer using Topcoat epoxy. As a contractor or a professional, adding this to your business, you can make some serious money, and you could do it pretty quickly, even pouring in your customer's home. I was just out in Oregon and the customer got a Granite bid. It was $12,000 for his amount of square footage. I did his pizza floor, so he hollered at me. I could do that same square footage for about $4,500 as an installer, and the epoxy products cost me around $6,000. So it's a giant profit margin, and I went over his old existing countertops. It took me 3 days on site. Customer was thrilled. You can make some serious money adding this to your business. And what I'm about to tell you is going to be the biggest pro tip of this entire video. You're going to want to book a call with one of our pro reps. What they're going to do is give you the white glove service to make sure you have everything you absolutely need for yours or your customer's project. They're going to give you the best possible price for how much epoxy you're ordering. And we have a tiered program that's going to give you some significant discounts to get that profit margin right where you need it, to make this a legitimate business, to get you out of that 9 to 5, working for the man, and start working for yourself, the true American dream. One of my favorite features of that pro program is what brought Topcoat on the map. And it's that customer service that really gives you the confidence to know that you're gonna succeed on this project, even on your very first try. So here on the videos, we try to give you that confidence. We give you every pro tip I can possibly think of. If you can't learn it here on these videos, that's where our customer service, our pro program comes into hand to give you the confidence you need. Knowing you could do this on your own surfaces. You could save that kind of money, real money, using Topcoat epoxy. And if that doesn't deserve a subscribe, I don't know what does. I'm loving the white metallic. Perfect amount, I think. I'm gonna hold off some of this in case we want to bring in some of this white mica right into our veinage. So I'm going to grab my propane torch. When I get a lot of these bubbles here, I like to pop those. What that is just me melding the resin, right? You can come touch them with your hand, but you might make more bubbles. Or you can come in here with a heat source, propane torch, or a heat gun, and quickly pass it across the surface about 1 inch or so. And the heat hits the surface and pops all those bubbles pretty much instantly. All right, now let's play with some of our silver. I'm gonna show you the difference between a Polycolor silver metallic powder and a Pewter metallic paste from Color Obsession. So this is our metallic Polycolor silver. And as I get low on material, I slow down because I wanted that to go all the way through. And as I brought this through, I'm coming flat, and then I'll stand it up to give me a more narrow. And then I came here, I walked it vertical. I'm just giving variations on the depth of that vein. So that is our silver metallic. This is our silver paste, our Pewter paste from Color Obsession. I'll give us another one, kind of the same direction. So you can see, and then I kind of start losing my volume, and I'll start going slower. Pick up the speed, it gets more narrow. Lost it. It's okay, just come back in. You can come back the other direction, tie right back into it. Bam. Perfect. So there's a lot of little fracture lines in the piece I'm trying to make that go in every which direction. So to keep them from getting real fat, I kind of come in here with my trowel. I load it up. I get the epoxy drizzling off, and then I can walk it up and fracture it in smaller lines like that. And the smaller amount of resin you get, the slower you'll need to take it. I'll dip into this other coater. The veins almost spread a little bit, so I'm gonna try to pull this a little with a silicone tip trowel. So I'll kind of just come into the silver and pull it into the white a little. Just like some of that vein got bigger, and they bring in contrast right on top of it. That looks pretty good. And all I'm doing that, guys, is I'm putting the tip of the silicone into the colorant and then almost like a curtain. So I pull up my pressure as I pull that over the white. And it can add just a small amount. I don't like this little swirly whirly. So what I don't like about it is you probably aren't gonna see that in nature. So rather than have two here, I'll just make this a little bit bigger one by bringing some more material on top of that, making those more almost cohesive little vein there. Okay, I want to do that in here a little bit too. I'm trying to keep away from having the same size vein through the whole project. So now there's a little gold here. I think I'm going to bring in a gold accent into this silver, and then I'm going to make some gold veins just on its own. Let me bring in some of this, and then we're going to meld this a little bit. I might even layer some more silver right over this gold, and then come back and do a little meldy. Pro tip on applying a vein: load up my epoxy, and then I get it to drizzle. I'll put one right here. I'll load up my stick, I get it some to drizzle off, and I start off the board and work my way right onto it. You don't want like a big blob start and stop. It jumps out as man-made for you. And every piece I make, I try to make it look as natural as possible. And you saw how I came off this piece, worked my way around it, as I'll start drizzling little, man, that gold is stunning. See, like right here, I had a drizzle. Not the end of the world. You could scoop it out. You can also just blend it out. Because remember, like, you're gonna see bits of colorants in the negative space usually. That's pretty. I should do a little gold here and there. And we're gonna come in and meld that in with our hands. And it just is another layer, like I was saying earlier, of visual interest. That's sweet. I love that. I love the gold in there with the silver. So let's come in here and meld some of this gold into the silver. And that's just with a popsicle stick, just making those a little more cohesive, bringing some melding. I'm not really even thinking about it too much. Just a little movement adds some more visual interest in those two colors. Over here, I think I'm gonna swipe it like I was doing. Compare that view. I'm just gonna again kind of come in here and meld that. Oh yeah, that's sweet. I'm gonna meld that gold over the silver. That's looking like that piece a little bit more. I like that. So you can add even finer, smaller veins. Let's do that right here by just coming into the silver and walking that up into this, over there. Boom, that added a pretty cool vein. I like that. I'm gonna do a few more of those. That's kind of cool here. What do you like better, guys? The melded gold or the more contrasted gold? Let me know. Here's kind of the difference too, guys. You see how this original metallic vein is kind of settling in a little bit? Not ugly, it's beautiful still. This one is your more vibrant, sitting more on top here. This one's getting buried. That one's floating a little more. That's the difference. See, here's that paste, unmelded and messed with. That before is metallic and stuff I melded in with that trout. So the combo of the two, I brought more right on top of it. See why I did that? It kind of matches that piece even more. There's some of that going on. You really want that ISO to pop to make the selling, the lacing. It's not a bad practice to warm up that epoxy. Then you can mist it and then it does its thing. If you go to mist your isopropyl on the project and not much happens, you're probably a little late in that process. Warm it up a little bit, pass the torch, then ISO it, and it'll do its thing. What is the secret sauce in the giant spray bottle? This is 91% isopropyl alcohol, the same stuff you use like for antiseptic. It does a great job at selling, lacing the epoxy. They also have 99%. That's gonna pop your bubbles, very minimal effects on the epoxy. The 91, great optimal effects. 71, too much water. You could have some dimpling in the epoxy. The water hasn't evaporated by the time the epoxy gels. That's what's leaving like, you've dropped a bunch of marbles all over your project. 91% isopropyl is the one you wanna use. So I also like droplets, pretty much like that. That's giving me small droplets and it's giving me bigger droplets. You can see how little I'm pulling the trigger. I'm not doing this. That puts way too much alcohol and it atomizes it so much it doesn't give you much effects. So I'll do a little bit of pumps, just watching the resin surface, get those dimples. That's the alcohol softening the resin and the water pushing the colors to create selling, creating these little pockets of lacing and selling that happen in the epoxy that you can't tell it what to do. It just does it all on its own. Real pretty feature. It can take some of the man-made look right on out of the project. Those thinner areas where I've brought the curtain of resin over, remember that? What it does there, it really can bring that white from below while making that silver just pop. So let's see what this alcohol does to our two pastes in this vein. Bam, look at that. So that does some pretty cool stuff just naturally in those colors. Wow. For best practices curing, I'm gonna kill my lights. That's gonna keep the bugs from flying right into the reflection if you have any flies or gnats or anything in the area. Kill your lights and kill the AC. The air movement can cause waviness or blow lint right into your project. I'm gonna use a propane torch to eliminate any of the air incorporated into this project while mixing, tinting, and working with it with my gloved hands. That is an easy process. We're just gonna hold the torch about 1 inch or so from the surface, and in a sweeping motion, work your way across the whole project. You're gonna do that about 3 times, letting the epoxy cool about 3 or 4 minutes in between torchings. When that's done, the project is complete. It'll be dry to the touch anywhere from 18 to 24 hours later. And then we're ready for the next step. The next step, if this is gonna go into a customer's home or your home, I would recommend a crystal clear coat of our art coat or countertop epoxy, depending on your color scheme. That'll be a 3 to 4 ounce coat per square foot. 18 to 24 hours later, after that clear coat is dry, we'll lightly sand with 220 and roll on our ultimate top coat, which brings durability to a maximum and enables you to use these counters much sooner than if you just kept a crystal clear coat of epoxy. Epoxy is curing for that first 30 days. When the ultimate top coat coats on, you could use it within 3 to 4 days, way quicker. Keep in mind too, when making practice boards, when doing sample pieces, try to treat that piece as an island. I got a little carried away here on my project trying to nail those veins. So I got a little busy. I got too many veins on my island. If this was my island piece, I probably would have eliminated 2 or 3 of those out of this project. But I was really trying to blend those colors and learn that, which I did. I learned a ton. On this little vein here, that's what I'm after. So I know how to achieve this. I knew how much silver, how to swipe it, bring in more silver, bring in the gold, bring in a tiny bit of black, hit it with the ISO. That's what I'm looking for. I love a lot of what's going on where I whisked a tiny of that gold paste and then blended it into the white. That was stunning. So pure whole milk white, skim milk, a little bit of white metallic powder, and that gold Luxe paste from Color Passion would have made a piece all on its own. Eliminate the silvers. That would have been stunning. But I think my biggest takeaway on this one would be less is more. I say that all the time. If I eliminated a couple of these veins, it really would have accentuated the ones I really like, right? So build on those veins rather than add another one. How about build on that first vein, get it to where you really like it, and you can start running off of that main vein with some of that black colors. And bringing in that black last was also a pro tip, because that will quickly, as soon as I start melding the black, it's gonna get muddy really fast. So save that black, especially in a piece like this, till the very end. Drop a name of a natural or man-made stone that you want us to try to match in the comments below. We'll start taking a tally. That's our mission. Better subscribe. In the next few months, we're gonna be matching practically every natural stone that we can. And if we can't match it, I'm gonna order a color paste from Color Passion and add it to the arsenal. So we hope you enjoyed watching the tips and tricks on creating a white exotic marble using the white exotic marble kit from Topcoat Epoxy. We'll leave all the ingredients that we use in products in the comments below. You can pick up this kit in 1/2, 1, 2, and 4 gallon sizes. 4 gallons will cover over 80 square foot. That's your large kitchens with a jumbo island. We send you everything you need. All you need to pick up is a little bit of sundries to keep the epoxy off your kitchen floor, and you're ready to take your countertops from the 1970s to 2025. Thanks for watching, everybody, and from Topcoat, don't forget, you got this, and we'll see you on the next video.
Countertops, you got